This is The Canamom Show, a podcast chronicling the inspiring stories of real women in the emerging cannabis industry. Your host, Joyce Gerber, mom, lawyer, political activist, has been speaking with women from coast to coast and around the world who are leaders in the revolution of cannabis and caregiving, continuing on her mission to lift up the stories of the women creating the cannabis industry by sharing their canna stories with you. So go make yourself a cup of tea or roll yourself a joint, sit back, and learn something new about this magical plant on The Canamom Show with Joyce Gerber.
From the Tip O'Neill Studios in North Cambridge, Massachusetts, it's The Canamom Show. Now here's your host, Joyce Gerber.
Thank you for listening again to The Canamom Show, where we continue on our mission of crushing that cannabis stigma. So Dave, I got big news.
Do tell. What's going on?
I've been talking about the hemp guitar by Josh Lampkin. Can you see Josh behind me? If you're watching on YouTube, you can see him.
I can. Yeah.
Yes, you can. So he.
Well, it's not literally Josh behind you.
It's just a picture of him,
It's
an image. Let's see. So we've been talking about the hemp guitar. I'm not really quite sure what we're going to do with it. I've been talking about this for months now. But this weekend, something happened, and it's just pushing us forward. So we are, yeah.
What happened? What happened?
Josh posted a 30-second video of him smoking from the guitar.
Really?
Which has gone viral.
Wow.
Check it out, people. We've had 20,000 shares or something. And it was just unexpected. It was a very small moment, people. And it's been going up fast. So today, which is actually next week, because we release this next week, we are launching the hemp guitar campaign.
All right.
And it's going to be through. It's actually through the Lampkin Guitar website. Of course, all of that will be in the show notes. And this is how it works. So for your support of $25 or more for the Canamom Show mission, your name will be entered to be the owner of this one-of-a-kind hemp guitar that you can play and you can smoke.
All right. All the questions have been answered. I kept asking, can you really smoke out of it and play it? And apparently you can.
Not simultaneously, I don't think, but we so
wait, to be clear, you can smoke out of it. You're not actually smoking the actual body of the guitar.
We built
you don't light the guitar on fire.
No, you don't have to.
Like Jimi Hendrix. No.
Yeah, maybe he will at the end of the I don't know. So
okay.
So this is how it's going to work. The drawing is not the drawing. The winner will be announced on 4/20, our national holiday. And it is going to be displayed at the Goods Dispensary in Davis Square in Somerville. So if you want to actually see it, it'll be there for the month of April. And there might even actually be videos of Josh playing it, because he not only builds guitars, he's actually a guitar player. So you might be able to see it being played to prove that it's actually playable and smokable, because the internet is blowing up with them smoking it.
That's amazing. It's a great thing to be famous for.
It's funny.
I've never seen anyone smoke out of a guitar before. So,
well,
there you go.
Now you should go check it out. All right. So it's just, we're trying to crush the cannabis stigma. We've been doing a lot of work trying to, talk about issues with moms and cannabis and care, and, how we're going to move this forward. So your support for those issues, and then you could be a guitar owner of a one-of-a-kind Lampkin guitar.
There you go. Love it.
Right. Yay. All right. Let's see. So I've been rounding out the schedule for 2024, and I realize I'm still 10 states short to cover the entire United States. I don't know if everyone pays attention to this thing. It's usually in the back of me. If you're not on YouTube, you can't see it. It's this cork.
Yeah. And those are Canamom listeners?
No, those are actually interviews. So kind of the middle of the state. I'm missing the middle of the state. Anyone in the middle of the state who wants to talk to me?
So Nebraska? I guess Montana is bare. I see that.
I have Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, and Georgia. Oh, and Alabama. So there you go.
I want to say.
You could be on the map, people. You could be on the map.
No big loss. I shouldn't say that.
Anyway, it would be fun to say that I've done every state. So if you're listening and if you're from some random state that I haven't talked to, reach out to me.
Not counting Alaska and Hawaii.
I've been Alaska. Oh, and I had Element Apothic, I think was from Hawaii.
Okay,
So
you got that.
I don't think she's actually on Hawaii at the time, but I technically count her as
That
Hawaii.
counts.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everything? Oh, the one other thing I've talked about ACAM. It is the Association for Cannabis Health Equity and Medicine, ACAM, and they are working with National Association of Black Cannabis Lawyers. These are really the people I hang out with, and
Mhm.
they are doing a groundbreaking program. I talk a lot about medical people and legal issues of this, so they're doing a groundbreaking program that will train medical providers and legal experts to assist cannabis medical patients facing civil and criminal charges for possessing and consuming plant-based medicine. Because this is really a thing. It's still happening. There's a woman in Oklahoma we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's not necessary, and we need people to help fight back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you know the law thing. So yeah, if you're a lawyer out there, you're interested in this, reach out to me, reach out to ACAM. I'm sure they'd help you. Love to have your support to help, whatever, move this forward. And I do talk about the Canamom stuff that I'm really kind of involved with if you're interested, that, moms who are using cannabis and have medical cards and are working with their professionals, there's no reason for family services. There's no reason to do a tox scan on those mothers or the babies. It should stop.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
People of the world changing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have no culture corner today. Anything you've been talking about, listening to, thinking about that you want to share?
Well, lots of things. As you know, I watch way too much TV. Did we talk about the movie Maestro? Have you seen that?
I have.
Good, right?
Very, and my husband is a Bernstein fan, talks about him all the time, but nobody seems to know part of that story. So,
Right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper should win everything for that. I mean, just pretty amazing.
And I do like the way they filmed it in black and white and color. It kind of gave that sense of going back and forth in time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just everything. The music. There's one scene where he's leading an orchestra, which is what maestros do, which is what conductors do. But I can't even begin to, even on like a small screen watching in your home, it was so moving. It was so friggin' powerful. And apparently Bradley Cooper did like the Tom Cruise thing and immersed himself into this and learned how to be a conductor. So good
He
for him.
embodied it. I saw it I saw it on the little screen at home, but yeah, it was just the story, the way it's filmed, the acting, the music, obviously. Always back to music.
Right.
All right, there you go. So that's Dave's Culture Corner.
All right. There you go. There you go. That's all you get today.
That's what you get today. All right. Thanks, Dave. And and again, guitars, you should enter, Dave. You know how to play, right? A little?
What do I have to know how to play?
The guitar? Or you don't need to play it, but
right. No, I thought you meant like play the game in order to win.
No.
Yes, I have a guitar right nearby, and I'm terrible, but I'm an aspirant, and so yes, I'll enter. I'm in. Except, you know what? I shouldn't enter. I'm an employee of the
you
Cannon
can't.
Mom
Actually, you
Show.
can't. Sorry.
I can't do it. Come on.
And we actually have terms that
I'll
I
have my
actually did the
friends
legal
do it.
stuff. All right. Sorry. Good. See, always thinking Dave using the legal hat.
Yeah, that's right.
But tell your friends who are not, because I'm sure there's a bunch of
will.
middle-aged men out there who would love to have a smokable hemp guitar.
Absolutely. And I have some guitar players in my network. Will do.
Excellent. Thank you again. All right. Thanks, Dave. And now we are moving on to today's guest. All right. I don't know if you can see this bag behind me. If you're on YouTube, this is connected to today's guest. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So today's guest, she is an accomplished development professional with decades of experience in strategic philanthropy, who just recently began her cannabis journey because of her friendship with the one and only Marcus Johnson Smith of Kush Groove, one of the very few men I've interviewed on the Canamom Show. I brought today's guest to the Green Goddess Invitational and opened her eyes to the wide and wondrous world of cannabis in Massachusetts and beyond. I am looking forward to talking with her today about her own canna journey, how her friendship with Marcus led her to support Kush Groove Dispensary, and how we can support moms in cannabis with a campaign we'll be running with Kush Groove hopefully this spring. She is here today to share the story of her canna journey from just a kid from Cambridge to a canna entrepreneur. Please welcome to the Canamom Show, Jennifer Foley. Welcome.
Thank you, Joyce. That's a really nice intro.
It makes you feel good. All right. So you are not you're part of the cannabis world, but what do you actually do professionally and where are you located? Yeah.
So professionally, I am a fundraiser in healthcare. So that's what I do on the other side of things. And as you know, I'm very new to the canna world, very much a novice, as you learned with your day with me.
Mhm.
But I feel like the past year has really been a fast education, and it's been a really great learning experience.
And you can, you're a bridge. You're sort of in that world, and you're talking about something maybe people they don't really talk about that much because of the federal illegality and all the many other issues
Yeah,
associated with cannabis. Yeah. All
there
right.
actually is more and more kind of talk around it in the healthcare industry, as you know. I mean, it's been there for a while, but I think that also there are more questions being raised and people are being more open to it. So, yeah.
And again, like once we know, I talk about this with the mom thing. Like if you're reporting, like I said earlier, if we're reporting women who are using cannabis to children's services based on a policy at a hospital, not because they have to, but it's based on some other drug, I don't know. The medical world is very complicated.
It
But
is.
it means that you can't collect data on what
Right.
is happening with these children, and no one's going to do reverse studies. So whatever, we need to prove it's how it's working, or else we can't actually, doctors can't help these moms. I mean, it's kind of frustrating,
It's
but that's
true. It's been
Mhm.
interesting as well to see philanthropists coming around this. I have some philanthropists that I work with who ask the question of, how is cannabis being used? And then other, just, with all the great dispensaries and businesses, cannabis businesses in Massachusetts, I see some of them kind of wanting to sponsor events at the hospital and such. And so that's interesting to see growth there
Oh,
because
wow.
it's a little bit of acceptance. I would say like a couple of years ago, one of those companies wanting to sponsor something would not be received so well. But now, the conversation happens and people are asking really great questions. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that is, I'd not even, honest to God, I'd never even thought of it from that
Yeah.
angle. All right, we can talk about that when we come back. All right, we're going to keep talking. We got a long way to go.
All right.
All right, let's just begin with Marcus. How do you know him?
All
How
right.
did he
So
bring you into the drug world? How did he do this?
that's a hilarious question. So I've actually known Marcus since before he knew cannabis because I've known him since he was about 4 years old, which is crazy to say, but it's true. He and I both grew up in Cambridge. We grew up in the same area of West Cambridge, Cochrane Park, and he has been best friends with one of my brothers since they were literally like 4 years old. The first time I saw Marcus, he was knocking on my door telling me that my brother hit him with a rock. So it's been a very long time. Um, and
Marcus. Yeah.
yeah, so he's family. We grew up together. He's kind of been a constant in my life through my brothers. And so he's been at holidays and just known him my entire life. And as he kind of grew from the clothing company and, launched into the dispensary world, there was an intersection with what I had going on in my own life. I had come into cannabis for medical reasons, something you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Got my medical card. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and so the doctor suggested, going down this path because I was not crazy about the pharmaceuticals that were being recommended. So
Yeah.
got my card, starting exploring from that angle. And at the same time, Marcus and Mike were about to launch Kush Brew in West Cambridge, and there was an opportunity for me to come in as a co-owner. And I took it because I love supporting family, friends, and community. And the opportunity to be part of Push Groove kind of embraces all of those values. So it's been great. It's been a lot of
That's
fun.
that's awesome. All right, I love that story. So you are just a kid from Cambridge, and so your role, you're an investor, you're a supporter, you're like, how do you work with the Kush Group
Yeah.
dispensary in West Cambridge?
Yep. So I'd say if I had to kind of characterize what I do with them the most, it would be thinking about marketing and reaching new audiences, and particularly when we think about the Canamom audience, and in bringing people into the Canna world who may not be, comfortable getting into it, may have a lot of questions, and I feel like that's where I've been for the past year and a half, really trying to learn about it, and so I try to help bring that perspective because, Marcus and Mike, they're very cool. They're all about this. They've been in it for decades. And so that lens of how do you bring people in and make them comfortable with cannabis and let them learn about it and let them realize the benefits that are there and that you can integrate it into your daily life when you are a busy mom. I know what that looks like, and just,
We
those
exist.
conversations that we have.
Yeah. So I mean that is the I mean that's obviously our mission as well. And the idea that we have to be seen to know that we exist. And I do talk about Kush Group because it's one of the dispensaries I visit. And he is geared towards young men more, but he's in a neighborhood that is really like ladies in Cambridge, who
Yes.
we talk a lot about how we can bring them in after they go, I've done this. I've gone to Star Market
Yep.
and then I stop over and I stop at Kush Group. It's anyone in Watertown, it's a great way to it's right
Or
there. So
go to Safra and get some coffee and then walk on
yeah.
over to the group. I mean, it's a great corner
Or
for,
or you're on the bike path, which is literally
yep,
underneath it. You can see the turtle on the bike
yes.
path. So this is our mission, people. We're going to do this. We're going to bring you in. All right. So again, you said you're sort of new to this. You came through it, your own health issues, and I know you're eye-opening when we went to the event. So what do you think really has surprised you about the whole cannabis world? Like maybe when you thought about helping your brother and Marcus, and then you started your own health. What do
Yeah.
anything surprise you? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it all surprised me, right? Because I'm in my younger years, cannabis was not a thing for me. I did not smoke. No particular bias, but it just never was something that worked for me. And so to jump back in and to learn all the different ways you can explore how cannabis works or doesn't work with you. And also the huge community around this. I mean, the day with you, Joyce, and going to Green Goddess and meeting all of the women in cannabis, all of the people that are working so hard to understand what the industry needs and how to kind of normalize it.
Mhm.
That was so eye-opening. And these are smart, fierce, amazing women just driving it.
Healthy. These are
Healthy,
healthy women.
very healthy. Yep. Responsible,
hmm
productive. I mean,
hmm
I think it's been really eye-opening to see all the strong women in this industry, but also just everything that's behind this industry. It's not just about going out there and getting high and doing whatever. It's more than that. And personally, for myself, it has had such a huge benefit to my life, and I really wish that my eyes had been opened earlier, quite frankly.
So that's okay. We're going to talk about more about family stuff. Why don't we actually talk about your own journey? So, I'm sure you grew up during DARE. Drugs are bad. You'll go to jail. You're a
Yes.
smart woman. You didn't want to kill your brain cells. I've been through the whole thing.
Yep.
And, um, but you weren't feeling good. So
Right.
how did you find cannabis? What were your symptoms? And like, how long did it take you to actually find it? And often I hear this is women, we've discussed this, they've come to their last wit. Like they don't know what else to do. And they try it literally out of desperation.
Yep.
And then that moment, even though they're not feeling better completely, they're like that moment that they can actually feel a little bit better. It
Right.
sparks something and then they go down that journey. So just tell me a little bit about what happened with you and how old you were.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
So everything was pretty recent. I have a rare form of endometriosis that comes after you give birth. So typically, women's health, if you endometriosis, you can't have kids, right? Or it's going to be challenging. And so after I had my son, literally for 5 years, I went to doctor after doctor, and they kept telling me, "Oh, you're just recovering from having a baby. You need to go to physical therapy. You need to do this. You need to do that." Nothing was working.
So what were your symptoms? What were you experiencing?
So extreme pain, mostly pain, actually.
And
So it
all over your body or
started as lower back pain, and then, extended to my pelvis, and then actually kind of just took over my body, because what happens with endometriosis is you have this excess tissue growing, typically in your pelvic area. But as that tissue grows, it can tighten everything else up in your body, because if your back's not functioning properly, everything else just kind of tightens up. So it was literally extreme pain that just kept building year after year after year.
and what would
And
they
so,
tell you to use for medication? Aspirin, Ira, like
well, the tricky thing is, the beginning, they didn't tell me anything. They just kept saying, "You're still recovering." And, a year after I had a baby, I was like, I'm still recovering. And they're like, well, you're older, because I was I think I was 36 when I had my son. And so,
At all.
you're older, it might take a little while. Somebody told me, well, when you don't have more babies, your body can't recover properly. A doctor told me that. I was like, okay. So it was years of misinformation. It's so crazy to talk about it. Then I finally was referred to an endometriosis specialist from doing my own research online and seeing the symptoms and saying, wow, this really sounds like me. First visit, he diagnosed me. He told me there's a rare form. It happens after you have a child. And so from there, he recommended a few different prescriptions. I don't even remember what they were, as well as more physical therapy.
So were they trying to reduce like some kind of inflammation? Were they trying to make
so
is
it's
that
inflammation, it's pain management. And the other tricky part is they cannot like really confirm the diagnosis unless you have the surgery, which I have now had twice. The first surgery, there was a ton of tissue. So they were like, yes, you have endometriosis. The second, the tissue had come back. But what I realized during that journey is that the tissue growth is directly related to stress. And so during the pandemic, when I was home with my son, doing teaching, working a full-time job, handling all of it on my own, really dealing with a lot of pain, I was like, I really need to do something. And during that conversation, is when my primary care was like, have you thought about cannabis? And I said, no, I haven't. And she referred me to,
so this is like 2021, 2020? When did you finally give in? Be like, oh my God, I can't take it.
Yeah. What are we in now? 2024? This was probably 2022.
Okay, so it was like you lived through the pandemic, you
Yes.
endured it, and then you're like, I'm done. My body's like, I can't
Lived
take it.
through it,
Okay.
endured it, got the second surgery. Oh, actually, so after I got the second surgery, what they do for endometriosis is they put you on birth control, right? So they think the hormones will help it. That is something I did not want, but I gave into that and had, all kinds of severe reactions. And I was like, nope, not doing this to my body. So stop doing that, then ask the question. Got the recommendation for the cannabis, and that's when I started thinking about that and getting my medical card. And
all right. Yeah, okay, so it's 2022. So were you told that you can use it in different ways? Did you have any idea how you could actually consume the cannabis, or once you got because I know it's confusing, like how you figure out what you want to use?
Once you have that initial meeting to get your card, I received information on, you can smoke it, you can have gummies. I think those are the two main things we talked about. And it was recommended that I go the gummy route because it was an easy entry, and I could take a gummy at night and it would help me sleep, which is also a major situation because the pain would wake me up. So that was what I wanted to deal with first. Yeah.
So okay, so I've heard different people have different reactions to gummies. That's the thing about edibles, that they are literally metastasized through your body in a different way and come out a different molecule, and they last. It's a whole different thing than consuming it by smoking it or vaping it. So when you used did you find that the gummy worked effectively? And then what did you find that you wanted to find something else that was more immediate, or how did you figure out how did you figure out how to dose yourself, I guess?
So that's been the past year of exploration for me. And the gummies in the beginning, it definitely immediately helped, right? And so I laugh because now I'll take usually 2 at night, but I started with like half of a gummy, and it would help me just, fall asleep, have no pain while I was sleeping, and actually get 8 hours of sleep, which had not happened in decades in my life.
And then prior to this, had you tried any CBD products, any creams or any kind of CBD before you went to the THC route?
I did try like CBD, like in the liquid form that you can, whatever. It didn't really do much for me, not that particular one. And I didn't spend too much time researching other options with CBD. So just started with the gummies. Once I was comfortable with the gummies, and I'm trying to think about timing wise, but honestly, I think after we went to Green Goddess, like before that, I had definitely, smoked a little bit, but I hadn't been mindful about it, I guess you could
Mhm.
say. And after we went to Green Goddess and we had a few great samples and just the conversation with you, like really started thinking about smoking. And so now I mix the two, right? And so I think smoking has more of that immediate calm you down, and which is just a game changer for my hectic, stressful life. And
Yeah. I mean, I do say that for people like, again, when kids were little, I would give myself time out in the bathroom. I just like close the door and, count to
yeah,
10 because but if I knew I could smoke a joint or smoke
right.
a little bit in the bathroom while I was having a timeout and come out a different person, my
Yeah,
whole experience as a parent would have been different. Because it
it's true.
changes your perspective. It's something I can't, when people don't use it's like that moment where you're like, your brain is just telling you what to do. I don't know. Your brain's expecting you to be stressed out. I can't explain it. And something about
Because
that
you're
hit of,
just, yeah, you're
yeah, it's
holding
something.
on to the anxiety of whatever you're dealing with. And that hit, I mean, what's been really eye-opening is, you take one or two hits and my body, it's like my nervous system relaxed. I don't feel particularly like a head high, but I am able to be relaxed and deal with, you know, a number of situations. It's funny, like 2 weeks ago, I had to address something with my son, and it was a school issue, super stressful. And I was at my home office, and I was just like, all right, you know what? I need to smoke a little bit before we have this conversation. And had I had that conversation 3 years ago, it would have gone completely differently. But it's like when you do that, you're able to keep your calm. Your kid's coming at you, has all his, pushback, and you're able to just kind of sit there and be in that neutral space and still be focused and get done what you need to get done without your emotion running away, which is really hard when you're momming young kids, any kids. I mean, so yeah, it's
I
been,
mean, that I will say that was my relationship with my guitar playing son who,
yeah,
he came out that way. Just
yeah,
people,
we
it
talked
was,
about that a little bit.
and I'm a divorce attorney by training and we would fight. Like we literally fought, like he learned how to fight for me, I think. But now we interact in very different ways. We like, he's a grown up, but I do stay much calmer. So I can see how that, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know what happens in your brain, but something happens in your brain and it helps you just tone it down a little bit and you can be more present and then you don't overreact because overreacting just causes chaos usually.
right. And if you think about our lives these days, it's like, if you're a working mom, you're going from the office, and sometimes you're not going from the office anymore because you're working from home. So you're switching from one, high stress situation to another one with no in between. So it really, you know, having this as a tool is
It's a
really,
tool.
it's a tool. It really
Okay.
is.
All right. So we can talk about let's talk about the kids later. Let's talk about your friends. Like, so now I don't know what your social circle is like. I don't know what you came with me and were like, my God, there's drinks.
I know.
There's like, you're like, what is happening here?
I think we should say I am probably like the biggest novice out there. And so if anybody's listening and they haven't given this a try, like if it works for me, it can work for
And
anybody.
what you were talking about before is really layering. So we talk about,
Right.
I have a good friend of mine. She's going through some cancer treatments, and I've been helping her use. She's vaping CBD flower, and that is
Okay.
helping with the nausea.
Oh,
It has
yeah.
taken a
Nice.
couple of ways to figure out how to get her. So, but the thing about the gummy is the gummy lasts a little bit longer. So you're
Yeah.
layering it. So you can take something that helps you immediately and then something
Right.
that'll kick in maybe 30 minutes later and will last a little bit longer. So that's what they talk about when they're layering with this, with the cannabis plant. So, all right. So you have friends, I'm sure they're like, I don't know what they think of you doing this. Uh, what are they, especially mom friends, what are they asking you? Were they looking for advice? I mean, I know you're new too, but it's almost better that you're new because you remember how it felt so you can explain it pretty,
Right.
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, that has been helpful. Yeah, it's been a shock to everybody, which is kind of hilarious, including my brothers who are like, "You're doing what now?" But it's kind of funny because in the beginning, everyone, it was just kind of disbelief, right? So people didn't even engage in the conversation with me. They just kind of like laugh and be like, "What? You? No." But but now it is interesting because people will kind of circle around and be like, "So, do you recommend like a particular type of gummy, or what do you use for this, or what do you use for that?" And we'll have family holidays now, and I have like cousins that are decades younger than me, and I'm like, "You guys want to?" And they're like, "Really? Yeah, okay." But it's been really interesting, and even like my mom, who just couldn't wrap her head around it for the longest time. And then turns around and was like, so do you think that there's a gummy that would help me sleep? And I'm like, absolutely, I do. So, I think,
And I know a dispensary where you can get it.
yep. And she's known Marcus same amount of time. She drove him to all his baseball games and everything. So he's truly family. So she knows where she's gonna go if she goes to get it.
And I'm a Cantabridian. He's a local kid.
Yep.
This is in many ways it's become a local thing. Like I can walk to my local dispensary. So you live in a the dispensary is a neighborhood that you can walk to. It's right next to a supermarket. And I know I want to talk about like what we're talking about with the Canna Mom program. I don't know if
Yep.
you've seen this. So there's a bag that Marcus had designed. I don't know if you've seen the bag.
I saw the proofs, but I haven't seen it actually like on the bag. I'm loving it.
I know if you're not, it's a podcast, it's audio. So my daughter took this, who's pretty cool because she thinks it's so great.
Oh,
So
it is. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it in the bag too. We were looking at shirts, but I like
it's
it on the
basically
bag.
the 4 seasons of the Canna Mom. I think I might be the winter one, the lady with the gray hair who's like all cozy and purple. That's me.
That one's
Uh,
based on you.
I don't know. So I know we talked a lot about this in marketing, getting people connected. So the bag is part of that to have like a little, swag that makes you feel connected to the dispensary. I have
Yeah.
talked about how the Kush Groove dispensary is right there in a mall, little strip mall next to I think it's a hairdresser. And then
Yep, there's a hair salon, there's a supermarket, there's an amazing coffee shop.
a great coffee shop. So I don't know. When people come in, like how are we gonna do this? Like I was thinking like Mother's Day, we should invite everyone from the neighborhood in. Maybe we should do like a Canna Mom Mother's Day special with our bag. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
that could be
my
awesome.
Canna Romance I've been writing. I can print out some copies. You can like
Nice.
And
Maybe you can do a reading, Joyce.
I could do a reading. But I mean, again, getting women into the dispensary because you agree with me, it's still a little uncomfortable, even though it's
Yep,
in a strip mall. And
absolutely.
I mean, what are
And
your ideas? You've been in a bunch of times, and even the way it's set up and who you're talking to. So, what are some of the things you think should be happening in that little space that we're gonna engage more people in the neighborhood? Well, women, my tennis lady friends, everyone, people shopping, all those ladies who are food shopping.
yeah, I mean, there's food shopping, and then when you come into the dispensary, Kush Groove is also a clothing line. So there's clothes to be bought. And it's just a relaxing space. It's funny. People laugh at me all the time, but I literally will just leave the office and be like, I'm going by Kush Groove because I just like walking in there. It's a very relaxing atmosphere, and everybody is,
It's like
when
cheers. Everyone knows your name.
it's true. And it's,
Marcus's mom is at the desk sometimes.
yep.
She's
Addie's out there doing her thing. It's great. And I think that's a little unique about us. We do have a great female presence in there. We have Patty at the desk sometimes. We have Dolly as the manager. We have T behind the counter. We have a lot of women who are in Push Groove. And so you have that lens, but also I think when I think back to the first time I walked into my first dispensary, which wasn't Push Groove, I was so overwhelmed and so intimidated and so like, what do I do? And when you walk into Kush Groove, it's not that. I mean, everybody's just like, hey, how can I help you? And even if you're like, I don't know how you can help me, I don't know what I'm looking for. Like, I need to learn about this stuff. There's so much information there if you want to peruse it on your own, but also everybody who works there is so happy
and they are very good about giving recommendations of people. There's a lot of different products now out there. There's a lot of different ways to decide how you want to consume. There's a lot of decisions to be made, like you said. So
right. Right.
coming into a space where you feel like people know their product line. I mean, the bud tenders are the first line of defense, so you want to make sure they know what they're selling and how to
Yeah.
talk about it. And he
Yeah.
does carry some good. Do you have any? I don't know if you like this involved with it, like any of the products that you've tried there that you really think are working well for you, or that you recommend to your mom or to other mothers.
Yeah, I mean, so I usually stick with the Kiva, the gummies, the
Hmm.
Camino Road ones. Those are kind of favorites of mine, but we are actually going to be putting our slow and steady edibles back into circulation. So those will be coming out soon.
And
And
what are those?
so they're actually Kush Groove edibles
Oh,
that yeah, that we make our own, and they're gonna be back on the shelves soon. I
and
don't.
are they like specialized for, I know some of them have more CBN, CBG, CB. Are you that connected to the cannabinoid world? in the gummies
So
yet?
I'm learning, Joyce.
Okay,
I've been
good, good, good.
actually reading up on all those things, so I'm getting better at it. I don't know if we're going to have the mixes with the CBN and the CBD in there. I'd have to ask, but that would be great because I think, the ones that I take at night have the CBN in there, and so that's great for me. And we're also going to be adding, since we're talking Canna Moms, we're going to be adding like some lotions and some cosmetics and topical dolls and lip balms. Marcus has been doing a lot of research and bringing some new stuff
See,
in.
I mean, again, even if like serums for your face, on your hands, I talk a lot about healing rose,
Yep.
suppositories, sexual lubricants. That's like a whole
Mhm.
nother line of products that people are. But again, you can eat it, you can wear it, you can drink it. It touches everything from criminal justice to cosmetics. And
Right.
these dispensaries are going to be offering more things now that there are more things to offer, I suppose. It's
Mhm.
and you're just part of the mainstream. You're normalizing it. So let's I got a couple more minutes. Let's talk about you have one child, right?
I do.
And
Yes.
how do you talk about cannabis in your family?
Slowly, I'd say we're getting there. Like I said, it really is a bit of a shock to people in my life because I'm kind of a rule follower. So
Hmm.
but this is fine now. And with my son, what he notices the most is my Kush Groove clothing. So he
Oh, how
loves
funny.
the like, we use kind of like you know, uh, street graphics, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
it's really interesting look. And so my son loves it. And he's always like, "Oh, mama, I love that Kush Crew shirt. I love your Kush Crew sweatshirt." So I haven't really sat down and talked to him about, everything that it means. So it's kind of,
How old is he now?
he is 9, going to be 10 in March.
So he
Yeah.
must know what he knows what it is. He just so does he doesn't know your
Well,
work. Does he know he must know Marcus, right?
yeah.
Oh
Yep. He
yeah,
knows
yeah.
this. Yep. So it's funny. They're at a point in school where it's coming up. They talk about smoking weed and joke about getting high and stuff like that. So it is a point where I need to sit down and talk to him about like all of it. But there's just so much to talk about with these kids that it's like on the list, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, I mean, I would say that is the genesis of the Canna Mom show because my kids were teenagers when this whole my cannabis awakening happened. So this
Yeah.
idea, and I was talking to a friend who had younger children, and how do you talk about it, and what do you say? Because with the moms who've been, it's just part of their lives forever. Those
Yep.
kids don't think anything of it. It's just like coffee or
Right.
alcohol or whatever it is that whatever they know about it. Their parents mention it, but they know they don't want to.
Right.
It's not for them. But
Right.
cannabis, especially for transitional canna moms
Yep.
it's like, where does the introduction come? Because they actually have books now about what's growing in grandma's garden. They have books for kids to talk about it's just a plant. And
Right.
then the idea that I don't know. I mean, you're breaking it like I'm breaking the generation with my kids, and you're breaking it with your kids, and then it's not even going to be a thing anymore because there
Yeah,
won't
we
need to be
have
a
talked
talk.
about, yeah, we have talked about like the what is cannabis
Yeah,
conversation. We had that.
yeah,
I think, the next step is, what does mommy do with cannabis?
yeah.
So
And I will say, some of the moms, their kids know. They're like, "Mom, I think you need to take your medicine."
yeah, yep, yep,
'Cause they just want you to like them. That's all they
I
want,
know.
to see them and like them and
Just
not
need to chill out.
basically. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we got a couple more minutes. Let's see. So I know you went to that event with me. You're more involved with
Mhm.
Kush Groove. Like, what are you looking forward to this year in terms of like how you're going to connect with the neighborhood? How you're going to involve more friends? Are there any? I think I see Marcus all over the place. I don't know what he's
Yeah,
doing. He's always different places doing
yeah.
different things, talking to people. So, what
We'll
is it
keep
that you
tracking
focused?
it.
Yeah, focused on in like the West Cambridge store. And I know he's opening another one in Brockton, right?
Yep, exactly. So West Cambridge is open. Brockton, I think, is opening in April, maybe. But lots on the horizon. As you know, the mural is up, the turtle mural, and so we'll be having an event around that. Um, maybe in April, but I think really thinking about how to engage the West Cambridge neighborhood a little bit more. We are there. We will have been open for a year in April, and there is definitely a large Kush Crew following. Marcus and Mike both just, have a great network and a lot of support. But now that we are in this neighborhood, it really is, letting people know that it's a great addition to the neighborhood. Come in and get to know us. And it's whether people are using cannabis on their own or want to learn about it. If we've talked about this too, like around parents, and there's just so many different demographics that benefit from this. So we really want to think of, more ideas of how to educate our local community about, how to come into Kush Groove, how to learn more about what they want to do, how to get to know the people of Kush Groove, and networking just on that block, right? So we're always connecting with Safra and the supermarket.
I mean,
and
it's
hair salon.
this is very local. So I do talk a
Yep,
lot about how cannabis is local because there's no interstate commerce, but this is really local. This is a kid from Cambridge,
yep,
friends from Cambridge in a nice Cambridge neighborhood, you know, that
yep,
we are just integrating it like any other business, and they
right.
want to support local businesses and social equity and just trying to make some kind of like building small businesses in America. Like this is a small business. So
Yeah,
you could go to a lot of other dispensaries or other dispensaries in the area that are owned by bigger companies, but this is one of those. It's really it's a neighborhood one. People know each other. It's like how unusual.
yeah, it's family, honestly. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of us in there that have known each other for forever, quite frankly. And so you get that vibe when you come in. And I mean, and when I think of Cambridge, and I've grown up here and I lived in other places and came back, it's Cambridge is a place where community means something a little different. It's a little bit more special. It's a little bit more connected. And I think that Kush Groove really elevates that. You feel it when you come in. You feel that we are all from Cambridge.
No, I love
So,
that. I mean, I just did the MLK Day of Service over in Cambridge. So it's this huge event for anyone who doesn't know. It's 4 locations of sewing and making Valentines and creating all sorts of I don't know. It's a day of service. We take
yep.
it seriously here in Cambridge, and there are just so many people that I knew and haven't seen and knew my kids, and it feels nice to have a foundation to be part of something.
Yeah. We did a
Yeah,
food drive for that one last year.
yeah.
Yeah.
I sew. I help sew the blankets. It's so my ladies I see like once a year. We just catch up
Yeah.
once a year. It's funny.
Yeah. I can't sew, but
It's
I collect the food. I'm like, I'll do a food drive because I can't sew.
you're still adding value. All right. I think we actually are up on time. Let's see. All right. So
All
Jen,
right.
people want to come to Chris Groove and come in and visit. How do we get there? How do they connect with you if they want to meet you personally? And yeah,
If they want to meet me personally, they can just ask when they come in. But Kush Groove is right on Mount Auburn Street, right next to the Star Market, Mount Auburn. We have nice big sign. You can see exactly where we are. Ask for me. You can ask for Marcus. You can ask anybody who's in there for, whatever you're looking for or whatever you're trying to learn. And, make a day of it. You come over, grab a coffee, come to Kush Groove, go get your groceries after.
I agree.
It's a good
And
time.
it's on the bike path. If you're over at Fresh
Yeah.
Pond, just stop on by. You can't miss it. There's a giant turtle on the
Yes.
outside.
Yes, our slow and steady turtle is right on the wall. So when you see the turtle, come, get off the path, come on up, and yeah, it'll be a
That's
good
great.
walk the rest of the way.
Thank you, Jen. So there's supposed to be another Jen here today. I don't know if you want to give her a plug, but just
Yeah,
she couldn't
yeah.
join
So
us.
there's two gens, two gens from Cambridge on the Kush Groove ownership board, if you will. So they are actually all at a meeting about the Brockton store. So I am representing today, but her and I have known each other almost 20 years too. So yeah.
I
Just
love it. The foundation is just a couple of kids from Cambridge. So thank you, Jen. Thank you for joining us today. So another show. So
thank
for
you.
you're welcome. Thank you. So for my guest, Jennifer Foyle, and of course, my Cannabro David Yaz, and our Canna Mom Show team, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to the Canna Mom Show. We're on a mission to enhance the impact women have in the emerging cannabis industry by sharing and preserving their stories of love and kindness, wisdom, and hope. Thank you for listening and sharing these amazing stories so that together we will crush the stigma around cannabis and caregivers. I'm your host, Joyce Gerber. This is the Canna Mom Show, and we're a production of Pod 617, the Boston Podcast Network.